The best picture. Oh, sorry, Asmon. I'm gonna move this.
I have no.
Asmongold doesn't like React streamers, it seems, because he never puts his picture on the other side, because everyone reacts on this side, and everyone who he reacts to usually puts this here so he can react to them. Eventually, it will be like a picture. It's like you won't even see the video because everyone's reacting. Yes.
They do.
Yes, every cinematic for an expansion launch is fantastic and you want to play, but then you remember why you stopped playing. Yeah. There we go.
Apparently, took that as so.
That's pretty much it. 100%. To be honest, this is not my situation because I stopped giving a shit about Shadowlands right before 9.1. I think I quit exactly like 9.1 and a bit, and I quit. I didn't even bother with the raid. I think I did up to the 3rd mythic boss, like the 9. Did we even? No, we didn't get to the 9 at that point, I think, as far as mythic goes. Yeah, we were only in the eye, and I just couldn't bother. It was just like, it's not fun. Just didn't care about the bosses. No. Hell yeah. Just like that. Yeah.
Probably that made it. That's a good experience.
This is big true. Blizzard is known to have like a team A, team B, and like team B, I think, is the one that's like always makes the good expansion. Team A is just the one that sucks, but I think that's not exactly how it works. Like team B makes the expansion, team A maintains expansion. Maybe, I don't know. Like I don't think anyone ever really explained, but from what I understand is that's like there's like 2 teams and they responsible for the next each one's responsible for the next expansion. So it's like team A does, let's say, Wrath, and then team B did Cataclysm, team A did Mist, so probably in reverse, team B did WoD, etc, etc. Even though I think team B is the one who made Legion, which was a good expansion after 7.1.5. Once you could target your what's it called, once you could target your legendaries, and getting AP was a lot easier for your main weapon. Like to finish up the weapon it was literally like a quest, and you finished like your weapon upgrade, which made all of 7.0 irrelevant, and they keep going but down that route. Up until that point, in my opinion, Legion was not that good. The only reason 7.0 was really good is because they introduced 2 new things. One was World Quests and Mythic Plus, so that could keep you occupied for a very long time. Up until 7.1 came and fixed all the issues. The problem is they keep doing what they did in 7.1, but they don't introduce anything to occupy the player. They think Mythic Plus is going to occupy the player at this point. No, not as many people care about Mythic Plus. It's not a new system. It's like it's the same dungeon but harder. Wow. It's like, oh, their affixes, cool. And the affixes didn't really change. They nerfed some, they buffed some, but it's like the affixes are pretty much the same. They're more of an annoyance rather than like a, you know, what's called a kiss and a curse, where it's like some affixes, in my opinion, should be rewarding the player instead of like all of them are just punishing the player. You made a mistake, you're fucked, right? Instead of like, if you do this, you're gonna get a boost to something. If you don't, then you don't, whatever, right? It's like it's just an annoyance. All the affixes in Mythic Plus are annoying, right? The only time the Mythic Plus affixes were good was, in my opinion, also had a problem with this, was the first affix, Pride, was a really good affix. The problem is that it was percentage based and not summon based. So if you could summon it on demand, in my opinion, that would be a much better affix, and you would have to summon them kind of how you did the 9.1 affix, where you have to fight those guys, the obelisk guys, or they would like, I don't know, they come at the boss, or like they give the boss a buff. I don't remember exactly what they do, but that was cool. Like the 9.1 affix was cool, except it wasn't that rewarding, in my opinion. Like the bonuses you would get are like meh, right? You always get the same 3 almost every time. Like the one guy always gives you the same 2 or 3, which became really boring. It's like there's like a meta of which one is best. It wasn't random enough, and should have been random and should have been more rewarding. And if they did something similar with Pride at that time, it would have been way better. If you could summon the Pride on demand, like in order to summon the Pride, you need to have at least 20, 40, 60, 80%. And then you can summon the Pride through some obelisk in the dungeon. And if you don't, you're gonna have more Prides during the boss or something. If you don't kill the Prides while fighting the boss, the Prides will spawn. So it's like, and you will probably have cheese metas where it's like you summon the 4th one, and then while killing the boss, you kill the 5th one as well, and then you have the buff for longer, and that would be cool. Like, that would be interesting gameplay. But whatever. Either way, they fucked up a lot in Shadowlands, and the Mythic Plus system is just not as fun. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, 2 bad expansions in a row. Yeah, I know. Bad. So to be honest, they broke it. It's not even that big of a cycle if you think about it. It was like, wow, I forgot to change the name of the stream, right? Give me a second here. Totally forgot to change what I'm streaming. Always good, always good. Go edit. And this is, there we go. Oof, that was embarrassing. If you came to watch a workout, I already did the workout, so my bad. I almost finished it. About half of it. I'll do more later on or tomorrow. We'll see. I got like dizzy during the workout because legs are just like a pain in the ass for me. Anyways, back to it. Dude, honestly, my hope is 11.0 because 10.0 will show how useless they are, and then 11.0 will be Microsoft, and maybe. Hell yeah. Really bad. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Let's say he really didn't want to write this story, the Noozer, right? Let's say he really wanted to be like, you know, I just want to get this expansion over with. And it's like he's doing a half-ass job just to like get it over with. Just fuck it, just do something, whatever. We'll ship the next one, will be fine. Because the next one is with my real baby, what I'm working on. This, I have no passion, I don't care. That is not good. That is really not good. Because like, it shows he has no, no work ethic. Basically, it's like you have a job to do, man. I don't care if you're enthusiastic about it, if you're happy about it, if you're sad about it. This is your job, man. If you don't want this job, that's fine. We can demote you, promote someone else who wants the job, but it's like it's your job to make the story like at least digestible, and he doesn't do that. It's so bad, right? It's like he either has no work ethic or he's completely incompetent.
Oh my!
I have no hope for 10.0. And 9.2 didn't even fix the problems of the expansion. 9.15, I think, fixed most of the problems, and that didn't fix the problem. It just made it how it should have been at the start. No, there are no... Yeah, most of the WoW storyline is extremely simple, it's straightforward, there's nothing wrong with that. My favorite villain, one of my favorite villains, actually, is he my favorite villain? I think he is, honestly. Yeah, pretty much my favorite villain in Final Fantasy, and I don't like making this comparison, but it's just a comparison. My favorite villain in Final Fantasy is actually the simplest one, Xenos. I love Xenos, he's straightforward, you know exactly what he wants, and like, you know why he's doing what he's doing. He's bored. He just wants excitement. He's just bored and he's looking for that adrenaline rush because nothing excites him. And I'm not saying that's a good motive or anything like that, but he's a bit like, it's straightforward. Like, you understand the character's motives like this, like instantly, and it has a good ending with it as well, especially like with that one sentence that I want to make into my follow alert. Acceptance at long last. I'm really looking forward to that.
Character shifts, etc. But for the most part, everything was.
Yes, simple is fine. There's no need to write Game of Thrones if you can't make the character development. Make it simple to the point, people will like it. I don't think so. I mean, yes, gameplay is, I would say, number one, but it's like I can't say that story is like secondary, because story is what made people want to go, like why Wrath of the Lich King was so good, in my opinion, 12 million players or 13 million, because people want to fight the Lich King, and that comes from story, not from gameplay. People want to see the ending of the Lich King. Why was TBC so popular? Because Illidan, right? No one, like, Kill Jaden was cool and all, but that was like an extra. Everyone was expecting Illidan, and everyone was hyped for Illidan. You get to fight the characters that you grew up playing in Warcraft 3, right? It's like you got Vaj, you got Kael'thas, not Kael'thas, fuck, oh my, yeah, Kael'thas. You got, you got Illidan, and it's like you want to see what they were doing in the background while you were on Azeroth. Honestly, I didn't like Classic because I didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't know anything about them at the time, so I didn't really care about Classic. But TBC really drew me into World of Warcraft, and Wrath of the Lich King is when I really got into World of Warcraft, because I was so interested to see what happened with the characters that I was playing in Warcraft 3. Right, Cataclysm wasn't interesting. I don't know anything about Deathwing. Only started thinking about the lore of the world probably around the end of Mists of Pandaria, because that was like, who are these old gods? What is this Shah thing and stuff like that? And then I was like really interested. But yeah, the story is really what draws people in my opinion. It's like, because if you feel like what you're doing is not important, like you're like the world is not moving, like it's like you're killing random shit, it's not fun, no matter how good the gameplay. Look at BDO. BDO is probably a very fun game gameplay-wise, but there's no story. What are you even doing? Like, I played BDO for like 30 until level 30, and I was like, I don't know why I'm doing any of this, because the story is not drawing me in. Like, nothing made sense to me. It's like, yeah, I'm just killing shit because it's fun, but other than that, whatever. If I want to kill shit for fun, I'll play an ARPG. Which is probably very excited about this. Okay, here's the questions. They're not things I think about when I go to bed, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I want to see if I can answer any of them. Yeah.
Why?
The jailer is too smart, and they would not understand how smart he is to realize that this is the only path. And they would, and like it's like when you approach a girl at a bar, and you already have the scenarios in your head of how she's gonna reject you. That's what he was thinking. He's like, oh, they're gonna reject this, they're gonna reject this. You know what? Fuck it, I'm on my own. I'm just gonna rape them into submission, basically. Not that you should rape girls at a bar. That's not what. But like that's what the jailer did. It was a meteorite soul. So and like when it hit the arbiter, it exploded and it just evaporated. Everyone is a robot. We are all creations. The Titans, like the humans, technically are also robots to begin with, and we got the curse of flesh that made us into what we are. So in that regard, technically everyone's a robot, everyone is a creation. We're on a good path. Yes. Because the jailer didn't tell her anything. She was under him without her knowing anything. No idea. They didn't know what he was trying to do. They just know that he betrayed them. Well, for this one, there's the Taliesin video that basically talks about something similar, where it's like it's not so much that they led Sargeras to defeat. It's more like, if this happens, it would be good, and if it doesn't, it won't be bad. It was like a mini gamble with like not a lot to lose. Yeah. No one knows. Because the user doesn't know what his goals are. That is the biggest one. It makes absolutely no sense. If you think about it this way, in Legion, you fought a half-baked Titan. It was like half of it. In BFA, you fought N'Zoth, but you had the power of Azeroth with you through the necklace. Okay. Which eventually is the thing that killed him, right? We just like fought his tentacles, whatever, weakened him a bit, but then the beam is really what killed him, not us. In Draenor, Worlds of Draenor, you had Khadgar, you had Grommash, Hellscream, and you had forgot the Draenei name, the Paladin Draenei. All three of them, who are like technically hero characters, are fighting alongside us against Archimonde. So again, we get a lot of help. Cataclysm, we got the help of the, what's it called? We got the help of the aspects. Mists, in my opinion, we just fought an orc, so it's not even that big. He's like, yeah, manifest, but it's like, he's still just an orc. Not a big deal. And then, even in Shadowlands, the way we beat Sylvanas is through the power of domination sockets. So that was like our extra power. But as far as I know, for the raid, we had absolutely nothing that aids us against the fight against the jailer. Unless, the only thing that I can think of, which is definitely not true, I just don't know what happens in the raid, but I am 99% sure that this is not the case. But there's a 1% chance that the jailer is weakened because he's siphoning the power of Azeroth. Doubt it. Highly doubt it. So yeah, there's absolutely no reason we can defeat the jailer, and let alone, if the jailer is a Sargeras level threat, why is he so tiny? Why is he so small? You know, look at Sargeras. We could not have fought Sargeras. it would be impossible. The guy was bigger than Azeroth, like than the planet. Okay, we could not fight that guy, but we can fight this guy. And you won't tell me that this guy can fight Sargeras on equal terms? Give me a break. Yeah. Oh yeah, in August we were empowered as well.
How the fuck that's called it?
That's just sarcastic joke, but yeah. This is a big one as well. This is like a major plot hole. So why did the first ones not turn off? Maybe the first ones are dead. We don't know. So that's fine. But why did the residents of Oribos not follow him when he was the arbiter when he made that decision? That was the purpose. Yeah, 100%. Well, the thing is with that one, I don't think that's really important. He could have just, like, whenever he went there, he could have just killed whoever was ruling them all. Or honestly, it could have been just a wasteland of souls. We don't know. But, like, that's not, I don't think that's a big deal.
Like,
The book is not worth it for sure. Technically. Not really too.
and what do you want? I mean, we got a cinematic. We can complain about it if we just
Pretty much.
I don't.
I disagree. I strongly disagree with this. This is the point I made about the, like, why Wrath of the Lich King was so good. Why, what's it called? Even WoD raids were good because you cared about who you're fighting. Knowing that at the Furnace, the last boss was Blackhand was pretty major incentive for people to want to do that raid. And I'm not saying Blackhand was like, oh my god, it's Blackhand, wow, I really want to fight him. I'm just saying, like, you had history with this guy to an extent. You knew a story about him and stuff like that. You want to fight him. Archimond, a big one, you fought him in Warcraft 3. That was a very exciting fight, right? Even the boss, the fat guy that eats souls, Terra, what's his name? Not Terragru. Terragru is... Terra Fiend, what's his name? Whatever. So, Terra something. So that guy, you had history with him. You even have history with him in the Burning Crusade when he's the first Death Knight, isn't he? I'm pretty sure that's the same guy, right? Like, you had history with a lot of these bosses, so you cared about. You had the guy with the eye in there. Ner'zhul, I think? Was it Ner'zhul? Yeah, I think you fought Ner'zhul in WoD as well, right? Ner'zhul was the boss in the dungeon. But, like, you had all these, like, story-related things, and that's what makes people want to go into raids. The only raid that I can say that was probably one of the best raids they've ever made, that you didn't really care about the story, which technically is not even true because all of the mini titans were there, is Ulduar, with Thor and Loken. No, Loken was a dungeon. You had, like, basically, like, the representatives of the titans there. So in a sense, like, even that you cared about, and mostly because you did the quest zones there, and you learned about Loken and Thor and all that, and their history and stuff like that. So it's like you had something to go on. You have not encountered the jailer at all this whole expansion. He was, like, so far in the background. He was, like, in a closet, in a safe, in a locked barricade in the background. Okay, like you didn't know anything about the guy, you don't know what he wants, you have no history with the guy, and to say that he's the one who manipulated Arthas and Ner'zhul and all that stuff, it's like, yeah, you can say it, but it's like I'm not experiencing it, right? So it's like it's kind of useless to say all of that. So yeah, so it's like I think the story is a massive driving force to why you want to do the content. Even like Mythic Plus dungeons is also like something like the Maw of Souls. In my opinion, I didn't like the dungeon. It was fast, it was a great farming point, but I did want to fight Helia a few times because it was interesting to me, because I dealt with Helia to an extent. I heard about Helia, and also I know that Helia is gonna later on is gonna be like a boss in a raid as well. Like, these things matter, they really do. And to say that like when the story is good it's 5%, I don't think so. I think the story is always about 50% of the game. It's like it's a massive driving force to why you want to do things in the game. I'm not saying you necessarily think about the story all the time when you do things, but it does drive you to do certain things in the game for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you split them. Yep.
Yeah.
So the thing is, we know his motivation. His motivation was to unite the force of the cosmos against something, but the question is, we don't know why it motivated him. Like, why does he think it's needed? Yep.
Players
Yeah.
have no idea. Because they always
Yeah.
they undermine.
100%. Yep.
Let's go back over here.
So hard for you 1 days ago.
Plus that. It's cool. $200. Arthas.
There's no problem with this type of scenario building. In my opinion, this is totally fine. Because the thing is, up to Sargeras, it was great. Why? Because even though Arthas was your main villain right now, you already knew that there's a force above him. You didn't know about Ner'zhul, but it's like you knew about the Dreadlords, which are technically supposed to be controlling Ner'zhul, even though Ner'zhul tells you that he's not actually under control, he's just faking it, right? Well, they say Ner'zhul, but actually it was the Lich King, so technically you did know about him. Then you knew Kil'jaeden was a bigger threat than Arthas, and you knew Sargeras was even a bigger threat than Kil'jaeden. You already knew this, it was already established, it was already built in, and the way characters were acting was in that assumption the whole time. It's like you knew why Kil'jaeden, why Archimonde came into your world. You knew that they're all trying to open a path for Sargeras. You already knew about the big bad. There's no problem with knowing about the big bad. The problem is the jailer came out of nowhere. There's no build up to it, right? An unknown enemy, obviously no build-up. Like, think about it this way. Let's say the unknown enemy comes in the next expansion. Why? Why would it come in the next expansion? Jailer has been in prison, I don't know, 10, 20,000, million years, I don't know. He's been imprisoned for a very long time, at which time the cosmos is not united. But at that point in time, way in the past, he needed to unite the cosmos against this threat. But this threat apparently didn't want to show up until the jailer died. Why? Was the jailer what's keeping the unknown enemy number 5031 at bay? Why were they waiting for the jailer to die? Oh, we'll find out in the next expansion. No, we won't. That's the problem. It's like, why are they coming now? Won't make any sense. If the only way to fight the unknown enemies to unite the forces, where was this enemy 10, 20, 30,000 years ago? Doesn't make sense. Yeah. Dude, she's gonna wear full-plated armor because she's gonna say, like, she's ready for war. But I guess they will forget that in Cataclysm, she was ready for war as well. Maybe she got fat. Oh, God. Is there a reason to kill her though? She's the mother of dragons. How are you gonna give birth to dragons? It could be, but the reason I think it's a reach is mostly because they can barely write a proper male character either. Or any character, really. The only good character they made two good characters in the last two expansions. Bob Salami and Sire Denethris. That's it. Those are the only two characters they made in the last two expansions, and they're both pretty much done with. He couldn't fire her. Yeah, was the good guy. I mean, yeah, it was rushed. I don't know if the ending was still good, but he wrote Game of Thrones meet Thanos with the Avengers. I did say something earlier about we're not having any power to fight the jailer. And the only thing that someone might say is that, oh, but like we had the Covenant abilities. Okay, think about it this way. We got a very small fraction of a Covenant power and a Soulbind for a bonus to our power, but it took 4 like Covenant leaders, which are substantially more powerful than an individual like us. New Star Wars trailers on? Hey, how's it going? I'll watch it after. We'll see. Was it Star Wars 10 or is that like are they going to do like a complete remake? They're gonna reboot it. But as I was saying, it's like the only thing we have to fight the jailer is basically the Covenant abilities, but again, took 4 Covenant leaders to just jail him, so it's like us killing him with just that is just not enough. Anyways, back to it. The new Star Wars trailer, let's see. Star Wars Eclipse, okay, I'll watch it. I'll finish this and I'll watch. Maybe.
Like that would be my
Yes. Yes. It was horrible.
How can you do your job? How can you fail?
Well, it's not for years. They had Afasabi before, right? And he was fired and now it's the loser. But
Let's go. So you got right.
Good picture.
Okay.
Oh god. Oh god. It's the snoozer. The snoozer. Even if that was the case, it doesn't even matter. Even if, like, let's say the writer team was the one who is like trying to get a union, that doesn't matter. Like it's completely irrelevant who is on strike. You go to Walmart, you have an expectation to get certain food. I'm not saying they're good foods, but like you have an expectation. You don't give a shit if the truckers are on strike that bring in the food. Walmart needs to give you the food because you're not going to complain that the truckers are on strike. You're going to complain to Walmart that they didn't have a backup plan. He should. He is the lead narrative designer. It doesn't matter. Even if he's perfect. One sec, let me finish. It doesn't matter. He's the lead narrative team. He's the lead narrative. He's the lead narrative, whatever, designer, whatever it's called. So everyone who's under him can make all the decisions they want. It has to go through him. It doesn't, like, if he didn't do a follow-up with the person that wrote something, that's on him. If he didn't care, that's on him. If he's just incompetent in his job, that's on him. If the team under him doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, that's on him. He didn't lead them properly. And also people need someone to blame. And like, he's in the public eye. That's it. Like, let's say this: if he was doing a good job, do you think it would be bad for him to be in the public eye? No, it would be great. It goes both ways. It's a gamble you take when you're in the public eye. You have to take that risk. Like, and unfortunately, he's losing that gamble.
It's like
It doesn't matter. I don't think Arthas was the villain, but I don't think he didn't do anything wrong. Because there's two ways you can deal with it. The thing is that Arthas was motivated by his revenge, which is not a good motivator, and he didn't care about his men's lives. So it's like, I won't say he's the villain, but it's like he was making the hard choice with Stratholme. The problem is, I agree with what the dev said, but not why he said it. The dev said that the correct choice would have been to leave Stratholme to deprive life from undeath. The problem is, we don't know how long undeath lasts, and honestly, now we know that's like pretty much forever. So the big problem with like just leaving to deny undeath is that they will follow you and they will roam and stuff like that. However, leaving would not be a bad choice, because you leave, you notify everyone about this, you make a plan of how to deal with it, you make inspections of grain, which is what caused the undeath to begin with, the plague, and then you go into a purge. Like, you block your borders to a certain degree, and then you go and purge everything afterwards. But he just went headstrong. Let's say like this: if there was no Frostmourne at the last mission of the human campaign in Warcraft 3, Arthas would have lost. He relied on luck to beat the demons, basically, and yeah, because it was a game, he won. But if it was like, let's say, real life, which like obviously never gonna happen, and like the final boss, you cannot do damage unless you have a certain weapon, you're not gonna get that weapon most likely. So I'm not saying he's the villain, but I'm not saying he also made... I'm saying he didn't really make the best choice. He relied a lot on luck and his vengeance, his drive for vengeance. Yeah, but... Oh man, I mean, it happened in World War II. The Russians killed more of their own troops than Germany ever did. Ignore the good one was. What was good tonight? Anything with Bob Salami was good, but yeah. Yeah, the Talanji's dad cinematic was good. Why is Jane there is for 3 expansions? Matryoshka.
Okay. That was sorry.
Just can't get through season 1 of JoJo's.
Fucking. And they right?
Team Rocket. To an extent, yeah. It's just the most cliche or like the most used narrative drive or whatever, like narrative. What do you call it? Narrative vehicle, I guess. Yeah, that just drives the scenarios. But I don't think all games do it. I would say MMORPGs are better, are not better, but it's like are more known to doing it, except probably Final Fantasy, only because the story cannot be influenced by the player so much, so they have to make all of this like driven stuff on the side. Because you cannot change the story as a single character. Nothing wrong with cliche. Of course, you want it's the journey. That's why I don't understand people complain about spoilers. It's like, yeah, so what if you know how it ends? It's the journey that matters. Just knowing that, like, again, let's say spoiler alert. Like, you know that. I don't know, which spoiler should I use? Okay, Darth Vader is Luke's father. Even if you knew from the beginning, it's like, it's finding out how he would find it out. It's seeing how he grows after knowing this that matters. Just knowing that Darth Vader is his father, it's like, who, like, that's like, who cares? That's such a minor detail. The only reason the detail matters is because of the journey that brought him there. That's why I don't understand spoilers. It's just like, you can spoil anything for me and it won't be a spoiler. I want to see how it happens. Yes. Yes. Same with older games. Anything that becomes mainstream loses its soul. Yep. Yeah. Because that's the people who watch it. It's supposed to attract, it's supposed to go to the people who watch it. No one wants to see the jock gets the girls. You want to see the nerd get the girls because the nerds are the ones watching the anime. Again, it's because it's mainstream, it lost its soul. And I'm sure like the first person who created that narrative design where it's like the nerd gets all the girls, like the quiet nerdy guy, he's the one who gets all the girls, probably saw a lot of success and everyone's like, oh shit, this is very popular, let's do that. Why? Because all the nerds were watching. It's like, man, I wish I could be that guy. I'm the quiet type. Why don't the girls like me? Watch this, guys. Yes, those are Goblin Slayer is fantastic. Berserk is pretty good. The first season, didn't like the second one too much. It was fine. I hate it. Really? Lost Kingdom, in my opinion, I think you need to watch like almost all of season 1 to get into it. It's not as like Vikings was a much better storytelling, whereas like in Lost Kingdom was a bit more action, but it's also like not as it's more individual. Like Vikings, like you get to like these massive battles, whereas like in Lost Kingdom, I think there's only like one massive battle, but like most of it is like small battles of basically the main character fighting, which just is not as much character development or like world development in the sense. It's been a while since I watched Lost Kingdom, so I could be wrong about that. But I did notice that I wasn't as into it as I was into Vikings. Alright. And that's that. Okay. I'll upload that to YouTube.